basically what this is it's a chart of different, what I'd call the real estate hierarchy. You can call it whatever you want, that's what I called it. Down here are people that have a lot of time and not a lot of money. Over here, they've got lots of money, but not a lot of time. So it's inversely proportional. So as you go down, you have less money and more time, and as you go up, you have more money and less time. Make sense? So start with the bird dog. So everyone know what a bird dog is? Yeah, if you hunt, right? But basically a bird dog in real estate is someone that drives around, and I mean there's lots of different things, but I'm just going to give you the basics, okay? You can look it up yourself. A bird dog basically drives around and looks for dilapidated looking houses, right? You drive in a neighborhood, everything's nice. You drive past a house, the grass is that tall, or it looks disheveled, or whatever. These are people that generally speaking have a lot of time, not a lot of money, and they're really just looking for opportunities, and most of the time they're working for wholesalers. And what a wholesaler effectively is a middleman. Someone that finds properties, buys them under market, and then sells them typically to an investor and takes the spread. So if they find the house that's worth 150 and they get it under contract for 120, they might put 5 in it for themselves, 125, and sell it to the investor. Right? Does that make sense? It's pretty simple. They just buy it for less than it's worth. But how do they find their deals? Right? So some of them employ bird dogs, and so what they'll do is they'll ask the person to drive around the set neighborhood and find, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many there are, maybe one, house that looks dilapidated. And then they'll look through the county records and they'll send that person a letter. And typically the letter will say something like, hey, I'm such and such, I buy houses cash, I'll give you a quick turnaround and all that sort of thing. So that's one way. Other wholesalers buy lists. You can buy lists of people. And the things that they target, they're wide and varied, but the things that they can target is out-of-state owners. So let's give you a scenario, right? Grandma lives in Florida, nephew or whatever lives in New York, high-powered executive, makes 300 grand a year. Grandma dies. Okay, grandma's got a $100,000 house in Florida. Executive inherits the house, doesn't care about it. Maybe tries to rent it out, tenants trash it. He's sick of it, he doesn't want to deal with it, doesn't want to put money into it. Gets a letter one day saying, we're going to buy your house cash. Make him an offer for 60 grand. It's worth 100. Make an offer for 60 grand. Do you think he'll take it? He doesn't want to fly to Florida. He doesn't have to deal with that. Tenants already trashed it. Right? So what they do is they'll look for out-of-state owners. You can buy all sorts of lists, right? You can look at deceased estates. There's just so many different. If you're interested in wholesaling, which I think is good for a lot of people, there are laws and regulations around it. I'm not going to go through all those. We don't have time today, but I'm saying this is the thing. If this is your entry point, then go and become an expert on that. There are tons of wholesalers in the Springs, right? You can get with them. You can learn. Bigger pockets, right? Meetups. There are groups. Nothing costs you going to a wholesaler and say, hey, you know what? Can I just buy your lunch? Can you just share with me what you do? How do you do it? Right, you can buy different lists for different things, but typically they'll target, some sort of a distressed situation, whether it be out of state, people don't want to keep it. It might be people that are about to lose their home to foreclosure. They'll buy lists or they'll look up lists for foreclosure. You can get records in different counties. People that have, people that are even pre-foreclosure. So kind of right before foreclosure, and they help them. And all it is just buying something for less than it's worth, which sounds really basic, but that's it. Right? And then having the people that can buy it from you. And so if I was going to get started in wholesaling, what's the first thing that I would do? I would try and build a buyer's list. This is just me. And how do you build a buyer's list? Well, as an investor, I'm always looking for deals. Always, especially when the market's hot because there's not a lot of deals around. So I would go to the meetup, or I would go on Bigger Pockets, or I would talk to people and say, hey, I'm a wholesaler. If I find a great deal, would you be interested? Right? Okay, can I have your email address or your phone number, however you want me to contact you? And if I find the great deal, I'm going to send it to you. And if I don't find the great deal, well, I won't. Do you think you build up a list that way? Yeah. Now I've done two things. Number one is I've got some buyers, because if I find the property and I get it under contract and I can't sell it, what do? It doesn't help me. Trying to build a buyer's list afterwards. That's the first issue. The second issue is if I have a really good buyer's list, I can actually go and seek out opportunities. I can go to people and say, I've got 200 people that are active buyers right now. Let's see if we can do a deal. Right, so you can create value. You add value, not time to the marketplace. Does that make sense? So the whole key to wholesaling is really about just buying low, finding people to sell it to, and having good product. Some wholesalers get a bad rap because they do the wrong thing, and you don't want to deal with those people. Some of them are honest. You got to deal with the right people. As an investor or a fix and flipper, a lot of them are working with wholesalers. They're buying a house for less than it's worth. They're putting their margin on top. Hopefully there's enough spread for the fix and flipper or for the buy and hold investor to make money. Does that make sense?